When you ready? Yeah, go right ahead. Hello, everybody. I'm Kelly Ryan, and I'm the COO of Guard Dog AI. And I was asked to speak to you today about what's going on in our market right now and in the financial industries with cybersecurity. It's the #1 affected industry by cybercrime. And I'm going to give you some numbers today, but I wanted to start out with a few stories. I'm not a tech person. My story began as a victim of crime. And in 2014, my husband and I owned a mortgage company. And my husband was waiting to close a loan, and he clicked on the wrong email. And clicking on that wrong email compromised one very large mortgage company and a small advertising company that we had housed in our building. And from that point on, I was really looking to why did we solve this? I mean, we just clicked an email, a time bomb went off on our computer, and they had all our files. It took about 2 weeks. We thought we were smarter. We backset our clock on our computer. We changed the date, and that bought us 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I talked to the FBI. I talked to my state and local authorities. It was 2014. Nobody knew what to do with cybercrime, and yet they had the whole mortgage company and all the files. And I paid providers, and I went to Geek Squad, and the county sent somebody over. And guess what? The guy from the county told me, Kelly, pay the ransom. And so I paid the ransom, and that was in 2014, and thank God it was only $5,000. Today, one of our neighbors got hacked, which was a nonprofit. From my office building, theirs was $75,000. So it happens all the time. You click a wrong email, and they've got you. And so I think that some of the things in the financial industry, we have a lot more compliance and a lot more restrictions. And so I wanted to see, does anybody here know what an incident response plan even is? Raise your hand if you know what an incident response plan. Because I had no plan. I didn't know what to do when I got attacked. And companies have to have an incident response plan. Local broker-dealers need to have incident response plans. Even if that plan is as simple as some of our competitors, and you pay them $3,500 when you get attacked, they'll pick up your phone call. And that's a current offering out there right now. They'll take your phone call, and you pay them $3,500 a year, and then from there, they'll figure out what your plan is. So I really wanted to share today what everybody in the financial industry, some of the things that we're worried about here. So cybersecurity is a $280 billion company or market right now. And out of that 280 million, about 90-some billion of that is services. More importantly than those services is that our losses are estimated to be $10 trillion for 2023. So we spent $280 billion to have $10 trillion in losses. So the numbers get quite high really fast. So McKinsey questioned 4,000 companies, and those 4,000 companies with McKinsey, nobody had an incident response plan. These are mid-sized companies. So the market is there, and it's growing every single day with us. So sorry that my slides aren't up there. So I'm trying to read them without glasses on. And I'm just going to start my slideshow from the start. So Palo Alto just queried 2,500 of their customers, and less than 10% of them could detect an incident within 1 hour. And the average, according to the CEO, Aurora, at Palo Alto is 4 to 6 days for them to detect the average attack. Sophos just put out recommendations, and they were real proud of this. They took the mean time to detect from 21 days down to 12 days. And they're touting this. We're still out of business for those days. And let me go to the next one. So I just want to read you some of the last 2 weeks' news headlines. According to Cybercrime Magazine, cyber damage costs the U.S. $8 trillion in 22, $10 trillion in 23, and they expect for it to grow every single year after this. According to Jack Hidry at the World Economic Forum just last week, his numbers is cybercrime will be 5 times that 10 trillion in the next year. 5 times. So we're talking $50 trillion in the world's market. And it has exponential growth in the next 10 years. So now we get to, I think, one of the best things that everybody in this room should really resonate with is Jamie Dimon, CEO of Chase. His number one thing that keeps him up at night is cybercrime. Chase employs 62,000 engineers. That's more than Google, Palo Alto, Microsoft, and Cisco combined. That's just for Chase Bank. They get attacked 45 billion times a day. That's 555,000 times a minute. Think about that. They spend $15 billion at Chase Bank every year on cybercrime, and it's what keeps them up at night, according to Marianne Rhodes. The financial services industry has the highest downtime after an attack and also the highest cost. We need to really worry about this in these financial industries because every broker, every fund, every person that has anybody's personal information or the accredited investor list needs to be cyber protected. In 38 states, you're personally liable. If you're a doctor, a lawyer, a stockbroker, any kind of professional that has anybody's information, in 38 states, you're personally liable for that. According to Palo Alto's CEO, Nimish Arora, it was really interesting because everything he said was really true. Palo Alto, it takes them 4 to 6 days to detect. We need to be in real time. This just came out last week. Protection has to be real time. We have to change the way we think. It can't be just services anymore that protect you after the fact because downtime is the real problem. Fox News in January reported the electrical power grids in regional water systems. Now think about this, cybersecurity for regional water. For your water, your electrical in the power grids. Any of that gets disturbed, they're gonna mess with the chlorine or the other levels of chemicals in your water system. It's already happened. And it happened in Pennsylvania, in Algoia Water Authority, but it also happened in 15 other cities across the US already in January of this year. And then the historical problem. I want to talk about Target. In 2013, Target was attacked. It cost them $100 million through their smart HVAC unit. So they lost $100 million in just market cap. That's not what, they didn't publish what it cost to remediate. They didn't have the financial reporting at that time responsible to the SEC. So that's a legacy. So it's been going on for 10 or 15 years. And here we haven't done anything to make the problem better. We keep spending more money on cybersecurity, and yet the losses keep doubling, tripling, and now they're predicting 5 times next year. A few other examples, and what do these all have in common? MGM Grand was down for 10 days. They spent $10 million in resources, and they lost $100 million. $100 million in that 10 days. And they had a plan. So think about if they didn't have a plan, what they would have lost. Lincoln College is a 150-year-old college that's now out of business. Why? Because they were attacked. They strung the attackers along for 6 months. They tried to come back and get their admissions department back. But guess what? They'd never paid the ransomware and they're out of business. And Colonial Pipeline, it's always one of my favorites to talk about Colonial Pipeline. They were protected by a really large public company. Unfortunately, that public company's model is they charge you $2.5 million up front to protect you. They failed to protect you, you're hacked. It's $4.5 million to pay the hackers. And then guess what? You're under contract that when you get hacked, you have to use their services where they didn't protect you to begin with. That cost them another $4 million. So, and Colonial Pipeline, all of our gas prices, it affected everybody in the United States at that point with Colonial Pipeline. So the damages for real cybersecurity and the cost of the cybersecurity breach are directly connected to the incident response plan and the implementation. How fast can you not have downtime? So an incident response plan makes a difference between surviving and your company going out of business. And you know, the next thing I want to talk about, just because we're in the financial industries right now, it's the #1 section. So we're another industry, it's normal industry is about $50 million a year for manufacturing, for cyber. In the financial industries, it's $141 million. It's 3 times for financial companies. And we get back to why, because we have the Chase story to start with. So the SEC in 12/31 of 23 has instituted new guidelines, and those guidelines say you have 4 days from an attack to report it to the SEC. If you're not discovering them, according to Palo Alto, for 4 to 6 days, you're really under a fire already. And all public companies must disclose in their annual reports their material information regarding how they're protecting their companies. This is one of the silliest things I've ever heard of. Chick-fil-A went out and they told everybody, we're protected, we have a new system. And guess what? They got hacked because they went out and they told everybody how they were protecting themselves. So now you got the SEC telling everybody, file your 10Ks, file your annual reports, and you better have how you're protecting your cybersecurity. Okay, I can go to the SEC and read their 10K, everybody can, and if it has how you're protecting your cybersecurity, come on, who's the criminals out here? They're making criminals of people in the financial industry. CEOs and CISOs in the financial industry have been charged for not having a plan. And the compliance and the CISO's perspective on compliance, they're buying all these tools, they're spending the money, and they're still getting attacked. The federal government has also implemented that all financial professionals, professionals in this industry must have a way to protect their clients' information. So making criminals out of public company officers is not going to solve the problem that we have today in cybercrime. It's just going to make it worse because we're looking at telling our enemies, the hackers, exactly how to find us. And then, you know, the next side is election security. We've all heard of Dominion. We've all heard of the election boxes. And the threats are still coming. Today, the top threat in the United States is to our election system. And according to InfoSecurity, global technology companies worldwide in their 2024 security forecast predict that cyber threats are the biggest threat to elections. Google, Trilix, Trend Micro, Palo Alto have all highlighted the growing trend to upcoming elections. So everybody's trying to get in on this. CNBC said that 50% of the global population will have elections this year, and yet all of their systems are unsecured. You're going to a local ballot box where they have a local box that they're counting the things, and you're in some school or you're in a church and you're voting. There is no security on our elections. So while Christopher Wray of the FBI will say social media's the biggest threat, I'm going to tell you cybersecurity is the biggest threat with our election system. Just some numbers that I'll tell you. Cyber attacks, we all know they're on the rise. We watch them. It takes $101.5 billion spending worldwide by 2025. It's still not going to combat the trillions of dollars worth of losses. So I can go on and on about why we all need to be protected, but really what we have to do is have a plan. And that plan could be, I'm gonna call my cybersecurity professional, I have protection in place, I'm going to be on that first list with that provider that'll take my phone call. There's hundreds of thousands of jobs in tech right now available. So there's nobody to take your call. And if you're a small to mid-sized firm, you're going to be down for many, many days. So we have a solution to this. I'm going to be talking about it upstairs. I've seen it in action for myself for 5 years now as a founder of Guard Dog. And we've been in many financial industries. We have one Diamond Wealth Management's one of our clients. They have a unit in just their Utah office. We're a Utah-based company. They were hacked in their New York compliance office. Every office in their company was hacked except for the Utah office. So now everybody in their firm has a Guard Dog. When we talk about Farm Bureau Insurance, their financial end, within 1 week of installing the product into their system, they were attacked. The CEO called and thanked us and said, I would have lost my job. Their CISO got a promotion. And our firm was founded because of a financial attack. So Peter Bookman, our CEO, was in Mexico with a broker of a firm that had over 1,000 private accounts. He had just sold his company to Goldman Sachs. They were partying it up. After about 10 days, his friend gets on the Marriott Hotel Wi-Fi down in Mexico. All of his files for his 1,000 clients were taken. It ended up closing that firm, and Guard Dog was born. So we try to solve problems on a bigger level, and this is very passionate to me because I survived it. I started as a victim, and I'm really glad. I wasn't a techie. I've learned to be an early adopter now of technology, and I think that I'm very passionate about it because there's so many businesses that have lost everything. There's a dentist up in Seattle. I read them every day. 350,000, he's one dentist with one set of clients, right? He lost 350,000 was his ransom. Guess what? He was out of business. People were showing up. He didn't have appointments down for him. He lost everything. So it's very important that we start with a plan. And I hope that everybody here, we've thought about this and we're waking up to the fact that we need a plan. Guard Dog stops attacks in milliseconds. So if you blink your eye right now, that's how fast we stop attacks. We're not in the 4 to 6 day plan. And I'd like everybody to come up and see us. We're presenting at 2:25 today and 10:25 tomorrow, track 4. So if there's any questions. Thank you.